off over here because sometimes it freaks me out. Okay, it is. So today I thought we would do some fairy houses, some fairy things. I have done some of this stuff before with little fairies, and I really like the idea. Um, so right now I'm just going to put down some small things that I think would be good and fun to use in a fairy house or yeah, in a fairy's yard. I, I've not hit gold on this. Oh, hey, Ranch. But I really like the idea of little things being used by little people so that they're huge to them. Little things for us. So this is like a spool of thread. Maybe it even still has some thread on it. We have a pencil stuck into the ground over there. We'll do maybe a big mushroom. Let's do a big mushroom. Sort of covering the whole area. I'm just trying to think like, oh yeah, maybe the mushroom is like kind of resting on this pencil. So we'll be seeing it from underneath a little bit. So we'll do that so we can see the cap. We're not like directly under it, so we'll still have to make it, because if we were directly under it, it'd be just a circle. So we have to like move out from there. Okay. Man, I used to take so many photos of mushrooms. I still would, I just don't see them very much right now. Okay. We'll do that. We'll draw some of these ribs in. I was trying to think what a fairy home might use as like a curtain or a wall. All I could think of is like a toy box. Right now I'm just drawing little things, kind of loosely connected. This is my when I sit down and do live streams, I almost never have like a fully formed idea that I want to do. I always kind of start a little randomly. We'll do some more detail on this mushroom in a little bit. Same with this stuff. We'll do detail on all of that. We can do like some buttons, but oh yeah, let's do, if we're gonna try to make this have like some walls. Oh yeah, we should definitely draw a bug. And then I'm gonna do some button steps. We'll turn those into, why is this last one troubling me? There, we'll turn these into like actual buttons in a little bit. But yeah, I just drew a ladybug. Okay, so a bug, we could draw like maybe like a watch beetle. Like a little watch beetle. Do you guys hear that clicking? That's my heat. It's such a strange noise to me. I don't really think about it unless I'm streaming. And then I'm like, what is that? Okay, our little watch beetle getting ready to flap away. Got its wing covers all lifted up, ready to go. Ooh, you think that we could add a collar? Not really. No, not really. And then this are their eyes. Yeah, so I realized something a while ago is I felt like I got a lot of good practice drawing, and I felt good even if I didn't like the final product. If I could get into like, oh yeah, it was my pleasure, Viper. Thank you for suggesting. Uh, if I could get into like a flow state, I would feel like decent about doing the work, even if it wasn't something I ended up finishing or ended up liking even. I think we'll do like a, I'm still just kind of adding random things, but we'll get there. And so I used to be like work really hard to try to figure out the best way to like get into a flow state. And a flow state is like when you lose all track of time and you're kind of like just so caught up in the doing of the thing that you feel like in the zone. That's what I've heard it described as. And so I spent a lot of time trying to figure out like the best way to get into a flow state. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like with hard first person shooters, yeah, for sure. And then I ended up like, so then the more you do something, the easier it is often to get into that state. So that was part of it. But I realized like the biggest thing for me was just whether or not I was doing it. Like, so I started practicing more and more every day because it was important to be doing the thing. Otherwise, I was never going to be in a position to even be in a flow state. And I know this is just like, oh, gotta practice, but it's not necessarily about practicing to try to get better and like do the thing in order to like learn and get better. It can also just be about practicing like just the doing of the thing in order to be doing it. I don't know how. So, I don't think I want another pencil here. Maybe like a pen kind of stuck into the ground. I'm trying to think like what other kinds of things would work. Let's have like a some string, some thread tied from one to the other. I guess I'm in a quiet state today. Um, Sometimes I'm starting really late today too. There we go. So I think you know what could work as like things that are hung as like curtains is like candy wrappers or yeah, I'm thinking candy wrappers right now. Maybe just like little pieces of scrap cloth, but that's not as interesting visually. You can have it like sewn together so it fits over the thread. Yeah, I was thinking like some little fairy that lives under here. Like I'm not super at drawing humans on my like first blush. It takes me a couple of iterations, a couple of drafts to do humans, but something like or someone like this. Little wings. And this will be like, what does stickers look like? Stickers. Like we could do probably just RS. Like it's the bottom of a Snickers. I don't remember what Snickers font looks like, but I think it's like big and blocky. So something like that. And then the E from right before it would be like, we would just see the little bits of it. There we go. Like hungry? Why wait? So when I lived in Seattle, we went to the beach a few times, like the Pacific Ocean, because I grew up and I've lived most of my life either on the East Coast or pretty close to it. And I did live outside of Pittsburgh for a little while. So that's almost the Midwest, as long as you think Ohio is the Midwest. Some people do. Anyway, so when I lived in Seattle for like a half a year, we did go down to the Pacific Ocean, I think twice, and there were these little like holes dug in the ground with a bunch of like sticks and stuff stuck in the holes as a windbreak. And it turned out they were just people's homes. I'm going to put some water in here. And it just makes me think of like we know fairies don't have, at least they don't have big like cities and stuff. So they would probably have these little kind of like makeshift homes. Okay, I thought we could do like a comb like stuck into the ground here. We'll draw the outline of it and then we'll come in. There we go. We'll do some details. Hmm. We'll clean that up in a second. Oh yeah. Yeah. My great grandma was from Ireland. And so my grandma, her daughter, uh, would sometimes tell us things her mother told her back in the day when she was a girl, like about being careful, make sure the fairies don't hear you, and like when people tried to say fairies were cute or nice, she was like, no, they're not. That's, well, it's a little beat up, but if we'll clean this up a little bit later. I think I think let's make it a little shorter too. But yeah, I heard a story. I was looking it up about fairies and like some of the traditional beliefs. Because, like I said, my grandmother would tell me things her mother told her, and she was telling me about, or I was reading about like leaving gold and milk for the fae. It's pretty interesting stuff. Although, if you've heard about changelings, if you've read about that, which is like the the creature that replaces your child when the Fae steal your child, that is I mean it reads just like a historic or archaic understanding of like autism and like neurodivergence. I keep going back to do the teeth and the comb, but it's like, it's not time to do that right now. Okay. A little fairy house. I think I'm going to put the pen cap on here to kind of, can you guys see that? I'm going to put a little pen cap on here. I think just to make it look more like a pen. Oh, safety pins are good. I did a big crystal. I do not know why. It's like much more complicated. I will do instead, I will do the like the pen mate, paper mate one. Well, thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate that. Yeah, I barely ever watch live streams. I mean, especially now that I do live streams and I'm trying to make YouTube work and I'm doing other illustration stuff. I have so much, you only have so much time. I totally get it. Okay, so I'm trying to think of something for the back wall. Yeah, seriously, W Fred. I'm trying to think of something for the back wall that we can like sort of like lean up against it. So maybe it peeks up over here somehow. And like we can tell what it is, right? Because like we could just do like a piece of cardboard. And we could just do a piece of cardboard actually. And it'll have the like the corrugated and then like the different layers. And then you can definitely tell what it is. Most of this is just a nice brown, so like it'll be easy to show that it's not the background. Have a little bit of where it sticks into the ground. Maybe like a, oh yeah, maybe like a safety pin like stabbed into the ground in front of it. Because I was trying to figure out a good place to incorporate a safety pin. Stabbed into the ground in front of it. And then like half sticking out of the ground. Kind of bent into a shape to be used as a brace for the wall. I found a lot of my illustration turns into me um, like making up stories. I draw some like robots and some other like imaginary creatures. Hey, Emmy, welcome, welcome. And I feel like so much of the time I'm like imagining, like, okay, if this is a robot, if this is like a living robot, like what does it need? And then I'm like drawing that in the, and so I'm like inventing a whole thing. I'm like telling a story. And I guess like a good illustration. Oh yeah, I've seen Aubrey. There is an Aubrey who is a regular here, if that is the question. I don't know if I should be saying that, but But yeah, we have a follower who hangs out, Aubrey. All right. I'm starting to I'm starting to feel good about this. I'm trying to think like what other hmm we could. Oh, hey Aubrey, welcome. Yeah, I haven't been doing well, I've been doing less streams because I'm trying to get back to working on my shorts, and also I've been working on a book, an illustrated book. And since we moved, I lost focus on the book because like we were packing and moving it everywhere, and it was just a little bit, at the time, a little bit too much. And so I put the book away, but I want to finish this book and try to use it as like my portfolio and try to get other work with it, and also, see if we can do something with it, like have it published or something. And or at the very least be like, okay, that's one book. Now let's work on the second one. Um, like once you prove to yourself you can do a thing, sometimes that makes all the difference. And so I've cut back on my. Oh yeah, thank you, Ranch. I've cut back on my streams so that I can focus a little bit more on that. And I've put together a schedule, and I'm really gonna try to like Odd Fudd helps me. She's my wife, and so she and I are gonna be my boss. And with the move, and we moved like unexpectedly, and that can be really hard. It was pretty hard, but we're feeling at least we're feeling like we've started to settle in. And so if we can be my boss and get this done, back to being a little bit strict, I think we'll really like that. Okay. So I want to do like more back here. I mean, we have this piece of cardboard, which will really come together when we do some color. I think this will really look good. Oh yeah, I'll let her know. Yeah, that's she is very kind. Yeah, we are high school sweethearts that ended up getting married. Pretty neat. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think like in Survivor, where they build little shelters, they sometimes like weave palm fronds together as walls, and, like make little lean-tos. And I guess a fairy could do something like that, or a borrower, whomever this is. We could do little like twigs leaning up against the mushroom here. And then in the area I grew up, they would build, the Native Americans built wigwams. And they are made out of like twigs and bark, and sometimes mud and grasses, but a lot of twigs and bark. And a lot of this is going to be hidden behind the front wall, the Snickers wall. So I think we can probably get away with just sort of some like grass cross hatching, some like dried grass and some Tide bundles and stuff like that. Okay. All right. I'm really liking this. I'm thinking the color is going to be really fun. I want to see if we can add some more stuff. Oh, thanks, Saply. Thanks for stopping in. Well, I like these buttons, so let's work a little bit on those buttons. And then I'm trying to think like maybe, oh, oh, like a bobby pin or um, a hair clip or something. Hmm. I grew up pretty far out into the country. The nearest store was 2 miles away, and it was like a pizza parlor in the middle of nowhere. The nearest grocery store was like 6 miles away, so not like rural, not like in the middle of nowhere. But we were surrounded by a few acres of woods, and we had little. Oh, yeah, that's sleep. Sleep is definitely more important. I had to wake up at 6, the latest, to get on the bus for years. But we had like a very out in the middle of the country type of house. I don't know how to explain it better than that. But like we definitely, if there were big stone buttons we could have used for like our walkway, I think we would have. Get that a little bit more sorted. Hmm. So what could be a good chair? I'm like looking around my desk, but like I don't have tons of stuff on my desk, but I'm gonna do a little eraser. I think that would work. So one of the things I like to draw, um, ever since I started getting into drawing at all, are hmm, like little mice and rats and other tiny animals, like doing human things like sword fighting or, and I like to make them with, what's another, oh, it could be a die. Let's use a die. Heck yeah. Well, it's much better than what I was doing. So that's one, then that back one's 6. Oh yeah, the little uh pizza table. 1, 6, 3, 4. So this is either 5 or 2. So let's make it 5. Yeah, I did I'm probably gonna redo these pretty soon because I looked at them recently and they were so not bad. I like them, but just like my style has evolved so much. And I was thinking it could be fun to redo that as like a short and show people like um But yeah, one of them had like a broken off steak knife, and one of them had like a needle and a one of these old bottle, like the metal bottle caps. I did a couple. One was mice and one was rats. I was thinking like, would they have decorated this middle piece? Probably. Maybe it's just like wrapped in some ribbon. Oh yeah. My my best friend growing up had rats as pets, and she convinced me that I would want rats as pets. She was right. Rats as pets, pretty darn cool. And I had two rats. It was one of the only pets. I had rats and then I had crayfish, crawfish, depending on your accent. And I preferred the rats. Well, they could hang out. Okay. I think maybe we'll add a little bit of color. And don't we can always continue adding other stuff, but it's fun to start doing the color, so let's do it. Trying to get all my pencils together. All right. For the bottle cap first. Yeah. Yeah. We had it for school. We had crayfish for a science lesson or something. I can't remember. And then they were like, well, does anyone want them? Like, we're gonna, like, you can't set them free where I lived. They weren't a native. And I was like, oh, yeah, I want them. Crazy. I was not a volunteer. I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to be like, "Oh, I want them." Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't for years. I didn't know because I was like 9. So I didn't know this was before I had the rats. Um, that people ate them. Like that wasn't in my science lesson for some reason. And so 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hmm, I'm missing one. Wait, did I just miscount? Nope. 5, 6. Um, yeah, so then years later, I was visiting a friend, actually Fatima, I was visiting Oddfud down in Virginia, where oh my gosh, it's right here. I found it. Where they eat a lot of crawfish. And so that was the first time we went out to dinner. I think like on the first night I was visiting. And on the menu was crawfish. And that was the first time I ever learned that they eat crawfish, that people eat crawfish. And I was like, oh my. All right, I wasn't sure. I'm gonna do this blue, I think. I was thinking red because that's like Coke, but yeah, seafood, like fish and the ocean, people under the ocean. I say people, but I mean it. Um, they're the closest to aliens like we've ever encountered, right? So we've learned now that like dolphins and whales, we're just have language. Like we're pretty sure it's complex as complex as human language. We think they mostly focus on, or as communicative. They mostly focus on like social stuff, but like whales will arrange babysitters. They all have names that they use, like call signs. So like we're working on it, but very alien, right? And that's the whales. But then you look at like the bugs, like the lobsters and the oh yeah. I love the theory. I don't think it's true, but I don't it could be, right? There's a lot of ways it could possibly be true. Um, but I don't think we have evidence for it that octopus are literally an alien species. Um, like they might as well be in some ways. Okay. Um, so octopus, one thing about octopus that we were like, well, are they really smart? Like they're not really living in communities, right? They're very solo, and maybe that's why, like, because we think they are very smart, but maybe the reason they don't seem to exhibit other classic signs of what we would think are like intelligence and consciousness and stuff is because they don't live in groups. And like us living in cities and even just in tribes really changed the way, well, in theory, we don't really know, but changed the way we think, right? Because language has changed the way we think, which is such a neat thing. Right? You can literally think better if you know a language. Oh yeah, like, and it'll keep going like as it after it gets removed. Um, yeah, man, they are neat. And is it the octopus or the squid? It's the octopus, right? Whose brain is like a donut, and it literally has to it eat. It's like all of its food goes through its brain, its main brain, because like you said, their legs also have like mini brains, little ganglia type things. Hey, Macy, welcome. I have not, but it's right here on my list. I'm watching Ponies, the TV show right now, which is about spies. And I'm trying to watch Rear Window, but then Outsiders is up there. Hey, Outfud, we've been talking about you. All right, I'm gonna do the Snickers because it's brown, so that's easy peasy. Oh, I don't know what color the letters are. I think white and blue. Yep. Take care, Ranch. Good night. Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'll definitely talk about it when I watch it. What was Macy's request? I probably have it here. Oh yeah, here. This is a good one. You did a Bollywood raccoon. Really liked it. This is a great request yesterday. Super fun. I'm gonna scan it in actually and get it on the. No, it's okay, Odd Fun. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, it can be hard. I know like people often make requests and then have to leave and uh it can be hard to see them. So I try to make sure I put all of my videos up as like things you can watch later when it was on demand, VOD. So if you ever miss something, you should be able to see it. I try to leave it. I try to make sure I get them up. Oh, cool. Yeah, I love like raccoons are such a fun thing to draw. It took me a while to get their faces right. Um, but once I like got, because I feel like the bandit mask, you're like, oh yeah, bandit mask, pretty easy. But it's like a little tricksy. And like looks, it seems like it's easier than it really is. I can't. I think I'm gonna look up Snickers real quick. What does a Snickers wrapper look like? Oh, okay. It is blue letters with a white outline. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the sub, Viper. Yeah, yeah. There's like for me a lot. There's some stuff like that. I draw a cartoon every day. Um, and so the characters from that cartoon that I draw, not an animated cartoon, like a comic. And so the characters from that cartoon are like so I they've gotten so they've improved so much, but they're like burned into my brain. Like there's no. And then I think I draw a lot of mice and cats. Man, I draw a lot of cats. I had no idea I would be drawing so many cats. It's a very common request when I for animals. Man, for some reason, drawing this candy wrapper has got me thinking of there's like an Irish candy store. It has like some of the candy's British, but the store imports all sorts of stuff from Ireland and things you can get in Ireland. So some UK candies also. And drawing this candy wrapper makes me want to have some UK candy. Take care. Yeah, get that focus on, get that flow state. Thanks for stopping in. Okay. I think I'll do this all brown and then I think this is, I'll use the white marker, the white paint marker to come and do the white outline if I'm feeling it. I'll get that. Try to get like a nice. Oh, all right. I'm gonna switch. Oh, Jaffa cake, Jaffa cake. Yeah, I don't think I've had a Jaffa cake. I know it's like a orange flavored cake with a chocolate coating covered in like a chocolate ganache. I don't know. They look good. I don't always like uh like jammy Dodgers. I don't really like jammy Dodgers. I don't like the texture. So, but I might like the Jaffa cake seems like it would be good. I'm gonna do like a purple for the ribbon in the middle here. Yeah. Can you guys see my, yeah. This is the middle mushroom stem is wrapped in a ribbon. And we'll come back and do some shading and stuff on this ribbon for sure in a little while. Unknown planet. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So I grew up in like a beach resort town. So there's lots of drinking and driving. And as such, there's a lot of like anti-drinking and driving campaigns. And most people I know did not drink and drive because like we were taught from a young age not to. Also, it's dumb. Also, there's tons of cops, like tons of cops. You could not leave the house without seeing a cop. It was crazy. But I knew a guy who did the drinking and driving thing. And when he told me the story of what happened and what he was thinking, it it is one of the most insane things I have ever heard. He he tried to jump like he tried to jump a like an inlet for a harbor. Like it didn't make any sense. Like I don't know. If you're that, it's too much. I'm gonna done. I'm done. I don't want to talk about it. But oh my God, it really made me think like, holy crap, like people are really out there drinking and driving. And they don't even like, they're not even like a full person. They're so toasted. Okay, I'm gonna get the dirt around the mushroom and then I'm gonna get some black in there because I really want it to be separate. Yeah, exactly. Like he was playing Grand Theft Auto. Like what? I don't know. Like it's so dangerous. But I understand like when people are young, they do stupid things, but it just feels like do so much other do stupid stuff. You know, and I'm not the first person to say it, but like it's not just dangerous for you, right? That's one of the main that's one of the things that makes it so horrible is you're putting other people at risk. I dated a girl whose dad had a breathalyzer in the car. Crazy work. Dang, that's too much. I mean, as long as you're safe. I'm not a big drinker, but I definitely did my fair share. And I was the guy who was like making sure everyone was safe, keeping everybody like monitoring people who were being acting strange to make sure they were okay. That's just the kind of person I am, I think. And now I don't drink at all anymore. I'm on a medication. I'm getting medicated for I have obsessive disorder, and I take like mental health medication for it. Um, and it's recommended like not to drink on it. Like a lot of mental health medicine, they're just like, yeah, it interacts with your. Oh my gosh. No. Going to school. Well, so I'm glad you're okay. Sounds terrible. Um, yeah, that I did that only once when I was like out with some friends, uh, and then I ended up going to school. I was still a little, I was still a little tipsy, which is bad because, like, in my school anyway, if you were caught drinking at school, it was like, or being drunk at school, um, they they just suspended. Like it was, some kids got expelled. Like it was, they were very, very strict about it. And so I was a little worried. And, still, still, uh, well, so, pencils are yellow because of the Chicago World's Fair. This is almost true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's better to make mistakes when you're young and you don't have your brain fully developed. In some ways, it's worse to make mistakes when you're young and you don't have your brain fully developed because your brain's not fully developed. But also, like, we treat youth differently and your body is more resilient. So, in some ways, it's good, in some ways, it's bad. Yeah, 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 definitely. That kind of stuff is scary. I've definitely known some people who that happened, something like that happened, and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm good. Don't need to do that anymore." I was just thinking about like, yeah, yeah, I don't think I've ever blacked out. I've drank a ridiculous amount at certain times. Wouldn't recommend it, but even then, I don't think I've ever. I mean, I've never been blacked out. Oh yeah, yeah. I wouldn't suggest. Like I said, I don't drink anymore, and like in moderation, I think drinking is a totally normal and acceptable. Uh, like it's worth the risk if that's something you're interested in. But they used to say like, oh, a glass of wine with dinner or a glass of beer is actually healthy for you. But they don't think so anymore. They say no amount is like healthy or good for you. That doesn't mean don't ever do it. Because like there's lots of stuff that's never good for you, but we still indulge. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Viper. Powering down. Boom. do some woven grass. I'm gonna do some of this like yellowy green here for the woven grass. I have a couple spots where I was gonna have it tied on. I kind of missed one of them, but that's okay. And then, oh dang. And then after that, I'm gonna do some of the like some yellow and some, if I can find a good tan to sort of because some of the grass will be like dead. Oh my God. Yeah. 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 I think that's a relatively normal experience to like, what's all this fuss about? And then be like, this is terrible. I have heard that from a few of my friends. I just watched a YouTube video on, yeah, seriously. Yeah, even like my favorite beer bar served beers in all sorts of sizes, including like a 4 ounce and I think you could get a 2 ounce also, yeah, as like a sample if you wanted to try it. Solid place. I think it's good. Like I think that's a good system. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shot glasses like of which I think a lot of shot glasses are 1.5 ounce, although I think some of them are too. Okay, I'm gonna do this yellowy green again and kind of there's a couple of spots in the background here that still have some white in them. And I'm just gonna get rid of that white because I like the texture that I'm adding with the yellow and the brown on top. And I don't there's no need for white. I do it on the side like this because I feel like it gets me a lot more even coverage, even though it is less easy to control. But I have given up on trying to make sure I have perfect lines um, because it's not realistic anyway. And although I used to think like, oh, people will be able to see that like I've overlapped the green onto the mushroom or whatever, like I guess if people are looking, but you don't, it's not something you notice really. So it's not like hugely important keep it to keep it separated. You can even see like there's Da Vinci paintings. And if you look at some of those, like the edge of one person. Ooh. So this is kind of like a house for mice, but let's say like aphids, right? On the top, we do have this little guy. So an aphid would be about like this big and look a lot like that. So we could do a little house for aphids. Okay. So there's a lot of brown in here. I didn't realize it's going to be so brown. It's not bad, not yet. Okay. I'm going to do some Oh, hang on. I've smudged it a lot. I'm trying to remember to use the paper, but I'm not always great at doing that. But I'm going to try to clean this up before I start coloring it. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Mix Max. Oh, yeah, yeah. I was looking at that because I just drew. It wasn't for the stream or anything. Well, let's see if I can find it real quick because I just drew the city skyline, and it made me think of when I saw your Superior Spider-Man. It made me think of it. Oh yeah, here it is. So, like, very similar to your Superior Spider-Man. And that was for the daily comic I draw for Odd Fud. Had a city in it. I like for a while I was taking a walk, and where I was walking there was this big field, and then across the field you would see like a line of trees, and then there was a couple of big houses and like a chapel. And it was interesting to like take it in every day or most days, and like I started to think about how to draw it. I have drawn it a few times, but it's really interesting how when you get really far away from something, uh, it it becomes less distinct, and also like what am I trying to say? Like it devolves, or it kind of it becomes simpler shapes, and you can convey it with smaller, simpler shapes. And there's something really neat about that. Like if you've ever watched like a Bob Ross um, tutorial, he uses this trick a lot where you to make a mountain, you just do the dark of the mountain, and then you add the light where the light hits it with a scrapey tool or something, and it just creates this shape that allows your brain to go, yep, that's a mountain. And I think like this is something I think about a lot. I don't know if I talk about it a lot, probably. How the like illusion of that shape is so important for creating art. Like it's almost more important than like being accurate. And like I used to be like, well, no, I really want to capture every line. And then I forget where I learned this, probably in a class, but I learned that, yeah, I remember now. It was in a very early art class, actually. I think probably studio art or something like that. Um, like lines are not real. And so when we draw something like a person's face, Yeah, I was trying to think. There were these big flat like orange mushrooms uh up in New York, up on Long Island. And so this is based off one of those. So I don't think Portobello, but maybe Deadly Ballerina, Gallerina. I I don't really know. I've looked it up before, but I don't remember. And maybe I didn't know even when I looked it up. But like there's not a line between, so like even just between the edge of this pencil and the paper, right? There's not really a line there. Like there's where one color ends and another begins, and there's this shadow. Sometimes there's this reflection of light, but even that reflection of light isn't just all light or all a certain color. And when I really started thinking about that and working with that way, it's really interesting. It's the same reason, like I said before, I don't try to make everything perfect anymore because like that's not what life is. Literally, like if you get a better representation and your art can be better if selectively you are letting colors bleed into each other. Pardon me. Yes, it has gills. I was trying to think what the gills. I called them ribs sometimes. I think it was the whole thing, but this would have been a maybe a year ago, so my memory might not be perfect. Okay. So I think I have to make a decision on if we're going to do this fairy person. I've kind of worked my way around it, but it's getting time because I want to do this cardboard soon. And if we're going to have that fairy person, uh, I'll have to draw them before I put color the cardboard. Here, I have some pebbles over here. I'm going to do those. I'm going to do those in like, ooh, should it be gravel, which would be like blue and black? Or should it be like quartz, which is like orange and white and purpley? Let's do quartz. It's more interesting. Quartz is really cool. So, like quartz watches, they have a piece of quartz, maybe an atom of quartz, not an atom, right? Because quartz is not a element, a molecule of quartz. And they vibrate at like a certain number of vibrations per second. So you can use that to tell the time. And that's called piezoelectricity. Piezo, something like that. And another thing that uses that, basically, it's like if you hit them together, they make a little bit of electricity. And so that's if you add electricity, they move a little bit. And if you hit them together, they create a tiny spark of electricity. They transform your movement into a little electric spark. And quartz does this. And you can, if you have a quartz, two pieces of quartz in a dark room, you can whack one against the other and you will see it light up. And then this works in other situations too. We had a driveway that was all little pebbles, but the little pebbles were quartz, little quartz rocks. And so if you picked up these little quartz rocks, a handful, and at night, hey guys, and you threw them at the other quartz that lined the driveway, you would see these tiny little sparks where they hit. And I thought that was so cool. I missed this little bit. I think it's a little grass, a little. I've done something a little tricksy where I am doing real sized grass like this, where the bottle cap has knocked down like an actual blade of grass. But I am also doing tiny grass like this, like grass the size that a fairy would. Like if a fairy was human sized, then this would be fairy grass. And that's a little tricksy because they're not both, they wouldn't both exist. But I think it's better. Oh yeah. Yeah, I could dig through. I probably took a photo of it. So I could try to remember. I'll dig through and I'll post it in the Discord. I bet you it'll look so different, right? Because this is just based on my bad memory. Gonna add some little shadows here. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do for the shadows is some violet. This is a comb. I need to color this comb. What colors are combs? I guess we could do purple for the comb. We don't have anything purple. Hey, Jeff. Yeah. You could use that to your advantage maybe. Like I was just thinking like you had Tom Holland, right? And he really wanted to play Spider-Man and be Spider-Man. And because he had that drive, he eventually did play Spider-Man. And so you could use your desire to be part of the Thunderman family as a way to motivate yourself to do something like maybe I know they made a Thunderman movie and it didn't really hit. I don't remember if they didn't release it, but like maybe they'll do a reboot and you can be part of the Thunderman family. I'm just thinking out loud here. It is an interesting feeling, and I wonder if it's been discussed before in. Oh, Oddfud. Welcome back. Uh, I wonder if it's been discussed before, but it's especially in today's world, the desire to exist in fiction or in a fandom can be very strong. I was in health class when 9/11 happened. I we knew something happened, but our teacher didn't say anything. So I heard of it from other kids in the hall. Dog whelk snail. What did we do? We did like puppy dog tail, an eel, and a snail. Yeah, yeah. But I was pretty old by the time I left my home state. Even just for, well, no, that's not true. When I was a baby, before I was conscious, I had left my home state. And then when I was 4, I also left my home state and for a vacation, like a weekend or a week vacation. And then it wasn't until like much later that I did it again. Ooh, interesting. Florida. My grandma lived in Florida. So we went, okay. So we did a berries and cream before. The I'm a little lad who does berries and cream. I don't, but it's a long time ago. I don't remember when it was. So we'll do it again. And then, well, I'm gonna put the dog whelk snail on there too. I want to at least look up dog whelk snail. So I didn't know about whelks, except in the UK they eat something like a whelk. And I had learned about that. Okay. So I'm gonna do the teeth of the comb again later. I keep putting it off. This dye, it doesn't sit right with me, and that's why I haven't colored it yet. So I'm just gonna kind of give that a quick erase. Ooh. And a redo. Yeah, I've only seen one episode of the Thundermans, so I am not sure. But yeah, like there are there must be so many people who it still doesn't feel right. It's like close, but there's something off about it. Is it too far that way? You know what? I don't know what's going on with this dye. Maybe it's just not meant to be. I try to remember that if something is giving me a lot of trouble, sometimes it's better just to try something else. So, what else could we do? How about a thimble? That's a good one. Oh, and it works because we have the sewing needle. I mean, Oh my gosh, brain, tell me what that's called. Not a spindle. Hmm. We have the sewing spindle, I guess. Spool, 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 spool. No, I'm not doing requests today. Yeah, I'm like, okay, so there's definitely books that I've read. And then, like, I find it a little heartbreaking that they're fiction instead of real life, or that the characters in them don't really exist. It's a hard, but it must not be uncommon. No, no requests today. Okay, for the thimble, it's like silver, so I'm going to do a little bit of gray and a little bit of blue and try to get some reflection in there. And then I also want some, I don't have like a gray, I mean, the pencil itself is gray, so I could do something like that. Oh my gosh, the dog whelk snail, and then thimbles often have these like dimples, so the needle doesn't fall out. I don't want to do a million of them, so I'm going to do them like not quite as close together as they are in real life, but still enough that I think it reads as a thimble. Okay. Take your time, Mix Max. Thanks. Okay, let's get some brown for the dirt. Got some dirt in here, some dirt in here. This is like the ground. I didn't end up doing like any kind of like carpet or anything. I was kind of thinking about that. Do some big grass on the sides, some little grass. And then maybe we'll even do like a flower or something somewhere. I have all these different greens. And it's good because I think grass is like, there's so many greens. Okay. I think got the thimble, feeling good about the comb. I should work on the fairy a little bit. I like them. It'll be a fun. I just have to remember not to be too hard on myself. I'm, I get really, so I draw like a couple of different styles of people. And I think some of them are really nice, but they're not realistic. And a lot of my stuff I try to make not photorealistic, obviously, but realistic. And so then when I do like little creatures, like fairies or something, or just people in general in one of my drawings, it feels to me, it can feel pretty like discordant because I want to push myself to make them look more realistic, but like that's not even always good. guy standing behind. I think it's too big. We'll bring them closer, bring them smaller. Okay, so we have this like line, so maybe they're hanging something up on the clothesline. It wasn't necessarily a clothesline. Oh, thanks, eyes. Yeah, hmm. Hmm. We'll have her be holding something. Yeah, I think we don't have to get into the super details. I think this is good. The head looks good. We'll do the wings, and then we can color the cardboard. I think this is a good size and basic shape and everything for a little fairy lady. Got the wings in. Maybe she's holding her wand or a paintbrush or something. Okay. So cardboard is kind of that like light yellowy brown. I think this brown is pretty good. Oh, what is this? Oh, that's the edge of the cardboard. But I want it to be light, and then we'll add in some some of the yellow. Yeah, Yeah, I think if I hadn't told myself eyes to not to leave it stylized and not add too many details, I think I would have done the same thing and been stuck in there trying to make the fairy everything, like very accurate and stuff. Very like I say true to life, but it's not true to life because it's a fairy. But you understand what I'm trying to say, like too much detail, basically. Okay, so there's three different things happening right in this spot. You have the color of the the cardboard that's the outside layer of the cardboard. Then you have the color of the cardboard paper that's kind of underneath, which will be a little bit lighter. And then you're going to have is this the other brown? Yeah. The different parts of the corrugated cardboard where it's like, it's the inside parts, right? Okay. Oh, I'm holding my breath. I think it's so funny that I hold my breath so often while drawing. It's what an interesting, it's involuntary. I think it's kind of fascinating. Okay. Oh, I think I wasn't sure if I was going to hit a good cardboard color, but this feels pretty good. This maybe I have like a that peach that I sometimes use to blend browns. Maybe I can get in there with that, see how it goes. Yeah, I like that. Let's see. I'm going to do it right by the mushroom, so if it looks bad, we can pretend it's a shadow. No, I think it looks good. I don't like to leave white even when like I'm doing something lighter in color, so like leaving white makes a lot of sense. I do have a white pencil, and I wonder if I like lay this down before I do some stuff. Like if I had, well, let's try it here. No, it just lightens things up. Barely. Yeah, but I wonder if I lay it down, I'll have to experiment. If I lay it down early before I do this, like I knew this was going to be too light for my browns, the browns that I have. And if I had put a white layer down before and then done the brown, would it have made it lighter? Would it have made any difference at all? All right. I'm going to keep the ground darker. This like safety pin, like metal is hard on paper because the way our brains see metal is we think like, oh, shiny. So like anything without like really careful planning or like a white that actually sits on top of the other colors makes it hard to show that that's like a safety pin and a staple. With like a marker when I come back and do the outlines and stuff. And what I might do is sometimes I enhance some of these with some digital color afterwards. So I could do something like that to really make that kind of stand out. All right. I feel like we're getting to the point where it's kind of like touch up and shading. And stuff like that. So maybe I will save the rest of this for next time. Well, let's finish. The last thing to shade is literally this. I mean, to color is literally this guy. Um, so let's give him a. Oh, should we have made them a ladybug? It's kind of too late. Let's make it a ladybug. I'm pretty sure ladybugs lift their wing protectors the same as any other beetle. I heard they call them, some places call them lady cows. I know the UK or certain parts of the UK call them lady birds. And that's an interesting thing because it's from it actually comes from before bird had the specific meaning that it does today, and it just meant flying thing. There's a couple things like that where like the the word became updated in the United States English or other parts of the world's English. But in British English, because it's been continual for so long, the word stayed. Right? And so, like, ladybird is one of those. I'm trying to think of another one. But, like, corn, for example, like a barley corn, a corn was just like a little pellet of food. And that's why, like, or a little, yeah, like a little grain like that. That was just called a corn. And so, but corn, the vegetable, was named after that. We were like, oh, it's a whatever corn. It's just little corns. And then eventually the word corn became, and this is true in British English too, so it's not really an example of the thing I was talking about. But the word corn only meant, I think that's called specification, like the Wait, is it semantic bleaching? I don't know. Let's get some dots. Do the same dots on the other side. All right. I think we'll call that a night. Maybe we'll work on more of this, not tomorrow, but soon. I really we'll fill in this ferry. We'll get these buttons done. Maybe I'll do a little bit more work on it myself, and then I'll come back and you'll see more. Thanks, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I enjoyed doing this. This was a fun one. I always think I'll do something like this, and then I'm like, oh, it'll be bad. Because I want it to be so good and specific, but I think this one turned out really nice. All right. Night. Yeah.